Welcome to part 2. In case it wasn't obvious from me just saying that right now, this is a part 2, and you might be a little bit confused if you haven't watched part 1 yet. If you haven't seen that part, I would suggest that you start there. See you soon, Jesus.
March 31st, prediction 5?
But not that soon. What was it this time? Had she estimated the time lag wrong? No, it was far simpler than that. You see, the Bible says that there would be 1,290 days from the taking away of the daily sacrifice and from the setting up of the abomination of desolation. The taking away of the sacrifice and the abomination are two separate events. Just because it uses the word and, why should they have to happen at the same time? God's phrasing does imply that they will, but he doesn't actually say that outright.
So there are two events. The daily sacrifice indicates the stopping of church services. It's the stopping of the sacrifice of praise. The other event is the setting up of the abomination of desolation.
Alright, so forget when that weird Korean church got closed. We don't care about that anymore. That doesn't matter. The stopping of the sacrifice is no longer the date we're measuring from, so it's totally irrelevant. What does matter is that a few days after that, on March 4th, that same church's website was hacked, and it showed a picture not of Christ, but of someone of absolute evil. Buddha. No, not that one, yeah, that one. The Buddha. Yeah, Satan's right-hand man, probably. And do you know how long it was there? 10 minutes. Which is apparently all God meant by the abomination of desolation.
So this Chinjeongji Church's website, which was set up on February 21st, 2020, in order to counter the attack on the church, since they were being blamed for the coronavirus outbreak, which is a lie being used to lock down countries around the world and destroy the economies. The website was hacked at 9:48 a.m. for 10 minutes, and several more times in the afternoon of March 4th, 2020. And an image of Buddha was set up on it, which would be the abomination of desolation.
If I'm being honest here, I'm a little underwhelmed. After all that dire, ominous language, hyping it up more and more in our minds over a 2,000-year blueballing, all we get for the absolutely badass-sounding abomination of desolation is a Buddha pic on a church website for 10 minutes? I feel like God or Satan or whoever's responsible here could have been a little more creative. This is the end times, guys. This is the climax of the whole show. You need something with a bit of drama, a bit of pizzazz. I guess Buddha's got a little pizzazz, but he just isn't pizzazalicious enough. Anyway, we slap those extra 30 days on there as usual, and we get the final prediction of April 2nd or 3rd. That's when the rapture's gonna be. It's for sure this time.
If the image was set up during the first time that the website was hacked, then we can expect the rapture to happen soon after 8:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on April 2nd, 2020, which is April 3rd, 2020, 0:48 UTC. That's the London time.
A couple of the passengers think about getting off this ride and check if they can open their lap bars. They point out to Claudia that, as she herself discovered earlier, the Bible says nobody will know the day or hour of the rapture. It takes a couple days, but Claudia finally comes up with a comeback, pointing out that she's not saying she does know the day or hour. Not at all. You see, she knows 8 possible hours spanning 2 days, because the rapture's going to happen any time within 8 hours from right this minute, and it's close enough to midnight that could put it on April 2nd or April 3rd. So she doesn't know the day or hour. Suck on that, God.
God is in such control that thousands of years ago he placed the time of the rapture that is due to occur now to within a time period of 8 hours. This guarantees that no one knows the day or the hour because it is not clear whether it will happen on April 2nd or April 3rd, 2020.
Now, you may think that, to put it gently, this seems like a loose interpretation of what that nobody will know the day or hour verse means. But hey, it's technically true. I'm sure God will appreciate the cleverness. He does seem to take well to humans trying to get one over on him.
April 3rd, prediction 6.
Oh, gee, sorry guys. Did I say the rapture would be on April 2nd or 3rd? No. Actually, I meant the rapture will be on April 6th or 7th because, Whatever, you get how this works. Once again, Claudia conveniently missed a few days somewhere.
There is something more that needs to be deduced.
At this point, the poor passengers on the roller coaster have white knuckles. Anyway, here she gets into talking about those two witnesses that I mentioned before. And this is a concept that'll become really damn funny later in this video, so let's talk about it just for a second. These two witnesses are people who will prophesy for 1,260 days. After that, the beast that comes out of the bottomless pit will kill them and leave their bodies in the street for 3.5 days. Okay, they're two people with bodies that can lie in a street. I just want to be clear about that. She goes on to clarify that these will in fact be two people, most likely Jewish people, who write and publish articles online.
Now the two witnesses will be two people, most likely Jewish people, who write and publish their articles online, who will be the voice of reason and oppose the illogical lies of the beast, which are issuing out of the mouth of the leaders worldwide, such idiotic things as stay at home, practice social distancing, don't go to work, close the businesses, close the churches, don't go to school, all based on a lie. A viral epidemic that is nothing but a lie.
I wonder who she thinks one of them might be. Oh, you're not sure she's Jewish, you say? Well, neither am I. And I think neither is she, which I can only guess is one reason why she published an article claiming really that anyone, anywhere, even if they don't think they're Jewish, can be part of the lost tribes of Israel. As for the other witness, Claudia predicted in a different video that it might be Ehud Olmert, a former Israeli prime minister who wrote a letter in the Jerusalem Post disagreeing with COVID-19 policy.
Now regarding the two witnesses, I found one possible candidate, Ehud Olmert, who wrote a letter published on the Jerusalem Post on April 2nd, 2020, in which he challenged Netanyahu and other Israeli leaders illogical lies about the coronavirus epidemic because they've been chipped and are under the control of the first beast.
Why this would make him in particular one of these witnesses is a mystery. It's not like that's a unique thing to do, but a mystery is what you get most times when you ask why about a Claudia Albers video, so forget it. Anyway, so Jesus is coming back on the 6th or 7th and stuff. 100%, yeah.
The rapture of the church will occur between April 6th and 7th, 2020.
Does anyone still believe any of this at this point? Well, quite a few, believe it or not. Better put them through a few more rounds of hope and disappointment, see if that helps. Now, of course, this prediction failed, just like the others, but this time it was finally too much for Claudia to bear. As much as she wished desperately that the rapture would come and save her from herself, she realized that it wouldn't. She was engaging in wishful thinking that was only doing damage to the Christian cause by making all these predictions. So, feeling sad, devastated even, but recognizing the need to face reality, Claudia decided that the wise move was to not publish any more predictions. And so she didn't. And that's the end of the story. Nah, I'm just messing with you.
April 8th, prediction 7.
In case it wasn't clear when I said I was messing with you, I meant I was messing with you about Claudia stopping, not about the prediction failing. Obviously the prediction failed. But hey, you remember that 10.5 day time lag? Well, that's the key to figuring out why this prediction failed and how to make an accurate one, because that 10.5 day lag still applies. But probably there must maybe be another 10.5 day time lag in there, because reasons. That should buy a few more days, right?
However, the time lag of 45 days is from 2001 to 2016. We would expect the lag to be in effect until the middle, and also from the middle to the end of the tribulation. The two periods being 3.5, I should have said years long, and thus each producing a lag period of 3.5 years times 3 days per year, which is 10.5 days.
Meaning that this whole time she's been operating on a 7-year timescale, and yet for some reason she's never calculated the time lag on that. She's only calculated it on the first half. Last time there were 3.5 days added. Before that there was no accounting for this time lag. Now the tribulation's middle is one 10.5 day time lag, and instead of 3.5 days tacked onto the end for no good reason, we have 10.5 days tacked onto the end because, well, we have to make the rapture later because the rapture didn't happen yet. This is how we science. We just keep making up excuses to tack on more days over and over and over again for years on end until finally maybe the thing that we want to happen actually happens. And then hopefully maybe if we keep guessing dates close enough to each other, that thing will happen on a date we predicted or near one at least, enough that we can fudge it a little. And then everyone in heaven's going to be super impressed at what an awesome prophet we are because we predicted that date. And then Jesus comes over and gives us a hug and tells us we're like the best prophet and kind of cute too. And takes us back to his tent for the night and there's rose petals on the blanket. And he puts his strong and yet gentle and sinless hands around our waist and whispers, "There's no sin up here." And then he...
Logic, I'm home!
Oh, shit! I'll come back to this later. So this time the rapture's gonna be, let's say April 13th to 14th? Yeah, how's that? Does it sound good? That'd put the end of the tribulation on Yom Kippur in 2023. So that's like confirmation, because it sounds good to somebody.
Now, the day that the tribulation is supposed to end, September 25th to 26th, 2023. And so according to the calculation, it falls on Yom Kippur, which is a confirmation as to the determined timing of events and the rapture.
Great, let's go with that then. Now, you might think there's nothing too special about this prediction in particular. It's the seventh one, we kind of get the point at this stage, we're used to the method of reasoning employed here. But here's a curveball, because in this case, Dr. Albers doesn't just have indisputable math on her side, she also has personal confirmation of this particular prediction. You see, the 1,335-day count between who cares and who cares what else matches the 1,335 days between Claudia's first article and one of the two new possible rapture dates she's come up with.
I have also now discovered that the 1,335-day count is a piece of personal confirmation as to when the determined rapture time occurs. So this is because I wrote my first article on August 16, 2016, and this article was published on the internet via a YouTube video made by Chris Potter on the following day, August 17, 2016. And if we add 1,335 days to August 17, 2016, we end up on April 13, 2020, the first day of the 2-day expectation date for the rapture.
I'm sure this has absolutely nothing to do with her coming up with a new date every couple of days, or with her fudging the numbers however she feels like every time to get whatever seems convenient to her. So this personal confirmation really gives me confidence, especially since the title of my video says there are 14 failed predictions, and this is only number 7. I'm sure this one must be right. Now, before we move on to watching this prediction fail miserably, little random tangent, I'd like to point out that the people who say the things Claudia sees in the sky are lens flares are in fact nothing more than troll comments generated by the beast artificial intelligence on Lucifer's internet system. Where have we heard that before? I wonder if the AIs are also paid. Anyway, I just want to make you aware that if you've left a comment along those lines, you may want to get a checkup from your physician. You know, just to make sure you're not a figment of the beast AI's imagination, because that's worth knowing, and that's what your doctor is there for.
April 15th, prediction 8.
Prediction 7 failed, go figure. So I wasn't sure if I should call prediction 8 here a full prediction. Dr. Claudia extends her April 13th to 14th prediction to also include April 15th, which wouldn't make it a separate prediction, ordinarily. There have been a couple other times in this list where she came out a day or so later and modified her prediction slightly, expanding it by a day, making it a day earlier, whatever. But this case is a bit unique because she made this change on April 15th. Her previous prediction for April 13th to 14th had already failed. The only reason she felt any need to expand her prediction to include the 15th is because her prediction already failed. So I would say that counts as a new prediction for the current day. Claudia really seems to need to get the point that making a rapture prediction for the same day is not that great of a strategy. All it does is speed up that cycle of failures and reattempts. And not only that, it makes it a lot more obvious to people. Remember the passengers on the roller coaster? Of course you don't. At this point, everyone's forgotten about them. We don't even really know where they are anymore. They probably figured out the lap bars finally and opened them up and jumped out head first. Lucifer could not be happier.
That's it will occur around this time, April 13 to 15, 2020.
April 16th, prediction 9.
The rapture is going to be on April 17th today.
The rapture or birth of the child in Revelation 12 is now set to occur on April 17, 2020.
As usual, we're dealing with time lags and a whole box of fudge. Need I say more? Not really, so I won't say more about the prediction, but remember those two witnesses? The two Jewish people who get killed by a beast that comes out of a bottomless pit and their bodies lie in the street for days? Well, Claudia finally decided for sure who they are, and in fact she's figured out that they've arrived already, all the way back on April 3rd. Apparently they're newborn babies. I don't know how they're gonna post online. Either way, it's kinda even more messed up now that the beast is gonna kill them. Although maybe all Claudia actually means by arrived is they started to embrace their witnessness. Kinda like how the One arrived when Neo got unplugged from the Matrix, you know? Now, I want you to take a guess who they might be. I've given you some hints through the video, maybe you can figure it out. Pause the video, think about it, and when you think you have the answer, just write it in the comments. Unless you already know the answer from Discord or from watching her videos. In that case, keep it to yourself, okay? Alright, welcome back to the video, I hope you participated. Now, are you ready to find out who the witnesses are? Great. The correct answers are Claudia's YouTube channel and Claudia's website.
The two witnesses arrived on April 3rd, 2020, the day that I started working on my website, thus confirming that this website is the second witness, the first being my YouTube channel.
I gotta be honest, I didn't know that YouTube channels and websites were allowed to be Jews. Very progressive. So to all you people who didn't know that already, did you get it right? If you say yes, I know you're full of shit. But how does Claudia know that these are the witnesses? Why, I'll tell you. It's because she made up a new diagram where the witnesses show up on April 3rd. And wow, April 3rd just happens to be the day that Claudia started to put articles on her own website because YouTube deleted some. Ain't that an amazing coincidence? How did that happen? But hold on now. If these are the witnesses, what was all that about them getting killed by a beast and their bodies lying in the street for 3.5 days? What bodies are we talking about? What street? And commenters, please don't say the body tag in the information superhighway. I will have to ban you. The real answer is that Claudia doesn't give an answer. Stop trying to interpret this rationally.
April 17th, prediction 10, double digits.
Once again, the rapture rudely refused to bend to Claudia's will, and yet again, she set about tweaking her calculations, instead of returning to the drawing board and erasing everything that's on it and tossing it in the garbage can and setting it on fire. This time, she noticed that with her current estimate of the time lag of 55.5 days, today, April 17th, was actually February 22nd. But Jesus, you see, apparently said that the flight of the elect to heaven should not happen in winter, and winter doesn't officially end in Israel until March 1st, apparently.
So the child is caught up to heaven, that's the rapture, and the woman, or Israel, also known as God's elect, flees to a place prepared for her by God. And Jesus said to pray that their flight not be in winter, and we seem to now be in the spring. However, for those who know about the time lag, we are still in winter. Today's real date, instead of being April 17, 2020, is actually February 22nd, 2020. And winter is not thought to be over in Israel until March 1st, 2020. This is the way it's always been.
Oh, how could Claudia have missed something so obvious? Of course the rapture can't happen on April 17th if it's secretly still winter, so the rapture must happen at least 7 days later, around April 24th. Except now we got a big problem, because we've already increased the time lag by 21 days at this point, and if we increase it by 7 more, it's suddenly a major problem that everyone's gonna notice, because then each day will be 31 minutes shorter instead of a mere 23, which nobody would ever notice, because apparently people's sleep patterns won't be disrupted enough by losing 23 minutes a day to really care. But if they lose 31 minutes, it's just too much, and suddenly everybody would clue in. So Claudia's decided, no, that's too much. God's not going to allow that.
People who are used to knowing that they need 7 hours of sleep per night would feel puzzled by their need for a much longer sleeping period. It is just not likely that God would allow it.
Of course, if God had any sense, he wouldn't allow any of this fucking nonsense. But we'll ignore that. I wonder what his cutoff would be. 30 minutes? 25? 27? He likes 7s. Well, hopefully someday Claudia will tell us, because she seems to know God's mind so well that she must know that. Claudia also noticed that at this point she's adding so much time lag that it'd be drastically messing up the seasons by this point. It'd be off by like 2 months.
In addition, the seasons are now delayed by 55 days, and a further increase by 21 days would mean that the seasons would now be delayed by 76 days, around 2.5 months, nearly a whole season behind.
And again, that's going to make everybody notice, so she's got to think of some sort of way to avoid that, which is arbitrarily declare the rapture delayed for somewhere between 1 and 7 extra days. How that's supposed to help with the time lag issue, I have no idea, but apparently that's the solution. But either way, the seasons are still off by a good 2 months. If people were going to notice if the rapture happened this week, they're still going to notice that if the rapture happens next week. What are we solving here? Now, if you're a dum-dum, this might seem like it's becoming a little too convoluted and all around just made up on the fly to seem believable, but that's a mistake because it implies it was believable to start with. So this time the rapture is going to be somewhere between April 25th and May 1st.
The rapture is not likely to occur for another 7 days, as the real date, according to the Earth's position with respect to the sun, places the land of Israel still in winter time, the winter ending on April 24th, 2020. The rapture is thus likely to occur between April 25th and May 1st, 2020, with April 25th being the most likely date.
Now, I've just realized that there are probably a lot of you who are really confused about this time lag stuff. What exactly it is she means, how it's supposed to work, how we can think we're at a specific date even though it's 2 months earlier, how we could have accidentally added on all these extra days that we didn't actually experience while the Earth turned. It probably seems very confusing if you're not real immersed into this kind of conspiracy theory. So I'll just clarify for you people, what Claudia is trying to express is that the Earth is still turning at its normal pace, time is still intact, it's not broken, it's not stretched, it's not compressed. The Earth is still going around the sun at its normal rate. But the problem is, the sun has not actually worked since 2001. Instead, since that time, the Earth has been illuminated by a sun simulator. And in fact, the entire sky is simulated by Satan.
The sun had to have gone permanently dark by 2001. So this is the reason why sun simulators and holographic projections are now used on a continuous basis on Earth.
And so when she talks about the days being shorter, what she's talking about is that even though the Earth is still turning at the same rate and the real days are still the same length, the days we actually experience and count on our calendars are shorter because Satan is using the sun simulator to make the day-night cycle slightly shorter than it otherwise would be if the real sun was illuminating the planet. Make sense? Good. I probably should have explained that earlier, but you know what? It was fun to keep you confused for a while. Maybe it'll also be fun to keep you waiting for a while, until part 3, in a week. If you want to catch that part, subscribe. If you want to be absolutely sure you'll catch it, sign up to my email list at list.logicked.com. You'll also get that video a day early. If you enjoyed this part, please do give it a like, and as usual, huge thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon, Subscribestar, PayPal, everywhere. Thanks for coming by, everybody. See you on the next one.